The first woman to serve in both houses of the Congress was Margaret Chase Smith. And she said, "The right way is not always the popular and the easy way. Standing for right when it's unpopular is a true test of moral character." Margaret Chase Smith was a Republican, but a very different kind than those Republicans trying to overtake our country now. In some of America's darkest economic days since the Great Depression, and in the face of tremendous political venom, President Obama met the test of moral character. He stood up for not for what was popular and easy, but for what was right. He stood for and with American workers, not just auto workers, but 1 million workers in towns all across America, who, if the industry went under, would not be able to put food on the table. We all remember what those days were like when President Obama took office. Workers waiting anxiously as their companies announced layoffs. Banks refusing to loan. Car sales were collapsing. It wasn't just auto companies that were struggling to survive. So were those companies making parts and selling cars. Small businesses that relied on auto workers as customers, like diners and barbershops, had to close down. Unfortunately, most Republicans advocated doing nothing. And what did Mitt Romney say? You all know this. He said, "Let Detroit go bankrupt." In strong contrast, President Obama took action, putting together a rescue team, demanding real change and real sacrifice from everyone involved, from management, from labor, from suppliers, from debt holders, from dealers, everybody involved. It was not universally popular, but it was absolutely right. President Obama's strong leadership saved 1 million jobs. Since June of 2009, this industry has added 250,000 jobs, and the auto industry is thriving again. These are good middle-class jobs in glass, in plastics, in steel. Jobs making things for an economy built to last. And Mitt Romney's record at Bain Capital, the corporate buyout firm he founded, too often has made their money not by building companies up, but by taking them apart. And too often, the workers ended up in the streets, even as Romney and his partners made millions of dollars. Earlier this week, we celebrated Labor Day. Many people forget what this holiday and why it was created, what this holiday is. It was about safe workplaces, health care, the 40-hour work week, middle-class jobs, standards that all of us believe in. But these standards did not just happen. They happened because generations of working people fought for, and in some cases died for, the right to organize and the right to collectively bargain. President Obama strongly supports these basic human rights because these rights are good for all Americans. Strong unions and collective bargaining have lifted millions of people out of poverty and built the great American middle class. And it's the middle class that keeps America's democracy and economy strong. The Republicans, just look at Wisconsin. The Republicans want to take us back to a time when workers could not stand up for themselves, when workers couldn't speak with one voice, when workers couldn't speak out for fairness, justice, and middle-class opportunity. That's why unions matter. I am so proud to be a union member, and I am so proud to represent the men and women of the UAW. Because of President Obama's moral courage and leadership, America's auto industry is roaring again, leading the American economic recovery. An industry we once called the arsenal of democracy is driving us to new prosperity. This November, America faces a clear choice about what kind of country we want to be. The choice for working families is clear. We must re-elect President Barack Obama.